The Backdoor GAA Podcast for 2023 is now brought to you by Steede Motor Group. For your personalised vehicle shopping experience, visit steedemotorgroup.ie.
So delighted now to be joined by Martin Storey, former Wexford hurler, and Jeffrey Lynskey to look back on Galway's victory over Wexford and look ahead to round 2 of the Leinster Senior Hurling Championship as well. Galway winning out on Saturday over Wexford, 24 points to 12. Jeff, did you enjoy the game on Saturday?
Conditions, it was fairly cold, usual kind of breeze, but it was going the opposite direction into the Ors, which doesn't happen usually inside the stadium. I thought after the 2 goals, Wexford would push on, but in fairness to Galway, they got a handle on it, and look, Evan was exceptional really the whole game. 7 points from play, they never got a handle on him. And it was probably a death of it by 1,000 cuts really in terms of the points scored in the first half. And I suppose after the 2 goals, the lads responded well. In terms of the kind of team play and link play, I wasn't overly happy with that. In our distribution, like Wexford played with the modern +1 covering one side. I just don't think we used the ball well enough at times in the first half. But look, first game out, Paul, they've got a result and they have to move on fairly quick and prep for Kilkenny on Sunday.
A couple of the aspects there you talk about, Jeff, do you think that all comes from first day out?
No, you look at, I would have had a look at all the games now over the past week. Got a good look at the Clare game, obviously the Waterford and Limerick game in terms of styles of play and what they're doing. Like the lads would have worked on different aspects of the game over the last couple of weeks. They'll probably have to tweak a few things this weekend. I'd love to see Kevin Cooney probably out at wing forward because as a line breaker, he probably would create more goal chances for us in terms of an overlap. I thought Whelan was very good until they got hurt about 15-20 minutes in. But look, it's the first game out. The most important thing is to get a result. But the quality of the play would probably need to improve. Not probably, but will need to improve against Kilkenny on Sunday.
What did you make of the game, Martin?
Well, I mean, Wexford got the absolute ideal start. We got the tonic of a start. We got 2 goals that you didn't see coming, you know, and I felt like you were saying there that we didn't actually push on from the Tribesmen, that like this will settle you down, this will let you into the game, this will let you have a little bit of a lead, so you can like the first day championship nerves are there for everybody. It doesn't matter if it's your first year or your 21st year, you'll always be nervous the first day out. You'll be trying to get a grip on the game, you'll be trying to get the grip on come to terms with whoever you're marking and whatever. And I mean, we never pushed on after it, but I mean, I felt we set up. We were very defensive. I mean, Conor Mack was fighting sort of a lone battle up front, I'd say, for 55 minutes or 65 minutes of the game. Like, you know what I mean? It's very, very difficult. He got a wonder goal in the sense of he got a great timing on a drop and flick. Like, you know what I mean? It was near enough unstoppable. And the second goal was maybe a little bit of luck on our side that it probably Galway weren't expecting it just to come as quick after, and you know, it hadn't really settled down at that stage. But after that, I thought that Galway sort of dominated the exchanges for most of it. It never looked like we were going to get back and catch them. And then we got a penalty, and if we had to score that, like, there was absolutely nothing in the game. Like, so, you know, and we were missing 2 of our best players in Damien Rick and Lee Chin. So, I mean, you can look at it in a negative way or a positive way. I'd like to look at it in a positive way, in the sense that between Lee Chin and Damien Rick, I reckon they could have been worth that 5 or 6 points that was in it, like, you know.
Just on that, Jeff, to bring it back to the 2 goals that Galway conceded. If you're in charge there now and you're on video analysis, I'm sure, like Henry Shefflin and Galway management, are going to be happy with the manner of the way Galway conceded them 2 goals.
The first one was probably a slip by Garage. it was a great flick by Conor Mack. I thought Eamon Murphy could have done better. He probably could have challenged harder for the ball in the air instead of allowing Conor McDonald to get the flick on it. The second one, Jack probably should have protected the ball better. You could see Rory O'Connor lining him up from a good bit out. No, it was a really good finish as well on top of that. But look, these are things, Paul, that tends to happen in the first game out. There's, like Martin will probably tell you, but another one, this league and championship are chalk and cheese in terms of senior hurling, and kind of form goes out the window. I was expecting more from Wexford. I know the quality of players that they have. This weekend is a big weekend for them against Antrim, but if they get Jack O'Connor on, we were chatting with Martin there before we started recording, and get Rory inside with Conor Mack, they will probably create more better chances and probably push higher up the field as well. You know, as Martin alluded to there, like they were very defensive, but like most teams are playing with a sitting six or with seven backs at present. It's just the way the modern game has gone, because inside forwards have huge threats inside for our own lads. Look, something that they'll work on. It's one-on-one defending. It's 2v2 inside the 21, and the modern players. There's no one better than TJ really. Like I've seen him in fits of close quarters and dealing one-on-one defending. He's no issue. Gareth Mack isn't so bad at it as Jack Grealish. Has good foot speed, and maybe the switch of Dahi and Garwood might stabilise the backline.
Did that work the last day for you?
I'd say Dahi is probably better suited to fullback. Like he's won how many All-Stars? 5 from the fullback line. I understand it fully. Like, you know, you're probably at a stage of his career that he wants to push up the field and sample something different. But again, his one-on-one defending is exceptional. But maybe a switch, like maybe marking TJ Reid the next day. Garage will. And look, if you need to swap at the times, you're going to be switching them. I don't think Billy Drennan is going to be back. And he's the new up-and-coming hurler in Kilkenny. But the lads will have their hands full with Owen Cody, Mullen, Donnelly, Billy Ryan. You know, they're going to have their hands full with them lads because they caused a lot of trouble last year in the game in the stadium.
Just with that, Martin, you said after Wexford scored 2 goals that maybe they didn't push on and they went defensive. Is there any reason you can put your finger on why Wexford didn't push on, or did Galway kind of grow into the game after them 2 goals?
I think it's just habit that we've been doing under Davy Fitz for the last 5 or 6 years, that we've always had a sweeper or 2 sweepers and you always pull back, and we've always played Conor Mack up on his own. It must be the loneliest spot for any full forward in Ireland the minute is Conor Mack up again, playing on 2 players nearly every day he goes out, like. And I mean, in fairness to him, he just gets on with it, like, which is a credit to him, like. But no, I mean, you learn to play in a particular way, and then you do it. You go back, Sean Murphy was the sweeper from Owler to Ballock. Then it was Kevin Foley from the Rapparees, and now it's Steve O'Keefe dropping back from midfield deep. I thought Dee was hurling really, really well, and the next one he was substituted. I didn't know if it was an injury or what. And if it was an injury, I mean, you had Kevin Foley on the line to come in and do that exact role, and he come in a different role. I mean, I just think that we were setting up defensively rather than the way we should do it is go out and just push and attack and start squeezing, like. You know, we got an ideal start and we didn't build on it, or we didn't try to build on it. We nearly tried to mind it from 4 minutes in, like. You know, it's an awful dangerous tactic, like, to try and mind a lead.
There's a question there, Martin. Just with Wexford, has there been an evolution under Darragh Egan from the Davy Fitz era, or is it very much similar styles? But do Wexford have the players to push up a bit more, or would they be left more vulnerable there if they do go with that bit more of an attacking mindset?
But I don't care what team you are, you're vulnerable once you push up, like, forward. Every back in the country is vulnerable. If you can get a 1-on-1 and the ball comes in front of the forward, that's what your job is. That's what every forward's job is. So I mean, to me, if you get out in front and get the ball and you're turning on a one-on-one, the back has two choices. He can either pull you down or let you by nearly. So I mean, you know, you have to take the chance. You have to take the chance to go for it, like, rather than try and defend it, I think. But look, that's plus, I mean, we always would have had played a lot of long game hurling in Wexford, in the sense of delivery to the full forward line. It would have been tradition, and it still is nearly at club level. Like, so you're going out and you're playing a different game that you're playing at club level, which is very, very difficult as well at times for players, like, you know. But answering the question, I don't think we're as strong on the bench as maybe as every other team in that's contesting the All Ireland. Like, you know, you have to have interchangeable now from 21 players. Like, you have to be totally. I mean, one time you used to call it bringing on subs. Now you're calling it your starting team and your finishing team. Like, you know what I mean? It's nearly two different. Do you want your best players on the field at the start of the match, or do you want them on the finish of the match? One time the best players started and you made substitutions when you had to. Now it's based on tactical, and it's based on the plan, and it's based on maybe you're bringing in your fastest runner or your fastest forward when the defense gets a bit tired. So it's totally different mechanics and different mind games, really.
And just after that, Jeff, Galway's response, obviously Wexford get the 2 goals earlier on, then Galway do eventually tie the game up going into the break. Is that response the most impressive thing after the weekend?
I think Wexford's puckouts, I know, like, James was his first championship, Martin, I think, was it?
Yeah,
first start.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, so like a lot of the puckouts were going long, and Wexford were fairly poor on breaking ball. They weren't winning their own long puckout, basically. They didn't vary it up enough for me either in terms
of trying. Is that what brought Galway back into the game?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
There was 2 balls went out over the line, went back in, and there was 2 interceptions for points.
Yeah.
So it was a starting point to get back into the game, like, you know, I mean, that. But look, like, I mean, it's his first day out. I mean, any man that's not nervous on his first day out in a championship match, do you know what I mean? That's normal. I mean, to me, that's normal. But again, like, you still have to have your strategies right for your running and your puckouts, and we weren't winning enough of the long ones, so maybe we should have been going shorter, like, to keep possession and maybe get it out of it and then deliver long in over the half back line, in over the third quarter, whatever you want to call it, the hard that set up line. Like, you know, if you get it inside the 21, you're after bypassing the hardship area to get by. Like, you're in the danger zone once you get inside in the shooting zone.
I'm just looking at the subs that came on. Like, Jack O'Connor came on for Ocean Foley temporary. Jack O'Connor then came on again for McGuckin. Mikey Dwyer came on for D. O'Keefe. Richie Lawler, someone, Martin, that's going to come, hopefully develop free into a good forward free. He's oodles of potential. And then Kevin Foley came on in the 61st minute. So, like, I know what you're saying, but, like, you have 4 or 5 good lads there. They're probably as good as some of the starters as well, you know. So I'd say it's probably a confidence thing too for them, Martin, because they're a poor enough league. And I know the challenge game, it was well documented what happened in that challenge game against Tip. But one good win and it could change the mood in the camp, and things could click for you.
Absolutely, but I mean, I felt at the start of the year, like, going into that, Galway is the team that's going to challenge Limerick. Like, to me, from watching the league, I felt that Galway can bring the physicality. You can see Henry Shefflin's input into it in places. And, like, I just felt that they themselves in Cork went at it. I just thought it was in the league. I just thought it was like, these are sort of setting up the same style of hurling as Limerick. They're going to go toe-to-toe. They don't want to take a step backwards. So, I mean, I just think Galway is one of the contenders. And, I mean, we had an opportunity possibly to be closer to them with the penalty and a couple of maybe more scoring chances. So, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't think it's things are that bad yet. I mean, a good win now. If we can get and beat Antrim, you're back on the road again. Like, you know what I mean? You're back, and I mean, you know, that's possible. Like, you know, that's very, very possible that we beat. I'd be hoping, expecting to beat Antrim in Wexford Park. Like,
yeah, and you're looking at it from a goal point of view there, and the impact of their subs, of our own subs. Liam was effective when he came on, and Keenan Fahey did fine. Finton came on for the first time ever. You know, like in terms of the championship progressed on well last year. Dard in the summer is going to push TJ Brennan hard, so we're getting there as well, Paul, with our own strength and depth. I thought Joseph could be a lot better. Hopefully the game will bring him on a good bit for the next step, because he's going to need to step things up as well.
Just with that, Jeff, Liam Collins, obviously Galway under-20s were playing at the weekend. The game against Wexford didn't take on much of a significance, because you have those 4 teams who are going to advance to Leinster semi-final or quarter-final. It's lined up now at the weekend that Wexford play Westmeath, Galway play Offaly, and you have this 7-day rule and everything. Does the seniors very much take priority for these under-20 players now, and is it just ultimately when you're with the 20s, it's next man up, or like, because it's a very hard situation when you're involved with some of these players and you're trying to have your best team out. And obviously Liam and Tiernan and a few players will be lost from the 20s to the seniors.
Look, it was probably 3-4 years in it at under 21 or 20 level. It's very different for the lads to come back when they're totally engrossed in the senior setup. You'd need to have them with you probably for the full week to get them bedded in. So like Liam, I presume, will be on the panel for Sunday. He won't be on the under 20 panel with Go on the Saturday. So like, the rule is there. It's probably tried to protect them. Is it the right rule or wrong rule? Young Hogan played for Clare on Sunday, couldn't play for Clare against Cork, and he was a big loss for them. At the end of the day, really, it's probably managing the lads if they want to play, and a lot of them will want to play with their own age group. But the other side of it then as well, like it's difficult on them, because I know from talking to Charlie Mitchell and Liam and these lads are involved with University of Galway. Like Charlie said, it's hard going. It's tough going, trying to focus on the seniors, then Joe McDonough, and then coming back then to under 20. It is difficult on them, because in terms of the load side of it, but it's also from the mental side of it as well. Like it's a difficult thing for them. A lot of them will have exams now for the next 3 to 4 weeks in college as well. So it's a difficult time of year for them.
It could easily happen with Wexford as well this weekend. Brenton, 1 or 2 players like Corey Bear, Dunbar there, or 1 or other 2 players that could be maybe lost to the seniors for the under 20s. What do you make of the rule yourself?
Look, if you go back in time, if you were to go down under 21, you're rewarded by being brought onto the senior panel or onto the senior team. Now, if you're a good under 21, you're nearly being punished by having to make a choice. I mean, I know there's exams coming up. I know most lads are in college now and everything else, and I know it's a huge load, but geez, you're in your prime of your life. You're 20 years of age. You'd be jumping out of your skin. Like, so, I mean, I can't see why it's they're putting them together and not allowing them to play on both codes. Like, you know what I mean? I mean that's, you gain your experience as an under 21 by being in with the seniors and being getting 15 and 20 minutes in league matches and championship matches. And I mean, there's no comparison between playing a league match and going out in a championship match. The tempo is different, the toughness is different, the quality is different, the speed is different. And like, I mean, you think you're ready if you're playing under 21, but you're actually not unless you're introduced at that level and getting your time and cutting your teeth in it. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, and I feel it's just nearly punishing good players.
We're probably just going to see more and more players being affected by this rule, whether it's going with seniors or sticking with 20s, but it doesn't really seem like most players are sticking with the 20s, so it's probably just going to continue on for the summer. Just on that, Jeff, before we were talking there about the first half and just on the puck out, can you put some of that down to Galway's setup on the Wexford puck-out?
Possibly, yeah. There was nothing innovative in what Wexford were doing. They were just putting it long down the top of your half-forward line. And then after that, it's been aggressive on the breaking ball. It's getting numbers around it. But if you had someone like Jack O'Connor on the field, I think in the first half, it would have helped him enormously, because he did cause us a lot of trouble when he came on, winning primary possession. I think the lads, in fairness to them, they upped the work rate, and they worked very good scores to our shooters. I think Conor Cooney probably had 2, if not only 3 possessions in the first half, Paul. His first proper possession was just before half time when a ball went into the square and he gathered possession, he tapped it over the bar. You know, so like that for me, looking at it, kind of going, who was going to step up in the first half, and Conor wasn't doing it. And in fairness to Evan and Bino and Wheelo, they were all link and play well inside our own, the Wexford half in particular in the first half. And the team play was good, you know. But I think in terms of the distribution side of it, I think it's a big area for us to improve.
Just with that, Jeff, last time you were on the podcast, you talked obviously about Brian Kilkenny and Evan Ireland winning college awards, but you said you did challenge them after that. But for Evan, like, he's been in and around the panel, but probably his first kind of real start for Galway in senior championship hurling, and man of the match, obviously really impressive. Some of the scores he got, particularly from play as well, he's really added to his game this year. But like that's a good start for him now in championship hurling.
Yeah, look, Paul, if you chart his own journey of his own career, he was brought in 18, let go, came back to us in the Fitz. We had a good Fitz campaign. And a lot of us, and Martin touched on it there, is building their own confidence. And the only way they're going to build confidence is getting exposure to high quality games. And I suppose Fitzgibbon has helped him enormously. Last year was on and off it. Again, had a good Fitz campaign, and he did really well in all the league games. And at the end of the day, it's about the manager giving you the jersey. And once you get it, you got to hang on to it. And once he trusts you, he'll give you the jersey next day out. And it's about performing. And for me, Evan, stepped up the last day, but he knows himself, like he's probably Mickey Butler's going to be stuck down the next day. He won't be getting as much room, but it's about staying patient and being smart in what he does himself off the ball. But look, it's a huge step for him. The last day, last year didn't go really well for him. The first out against Wexford. But a lot of this, and Martin will tell you, like when he was playing, the journey isn't going to go smooth. It's going to be tough days, really tough days, and you just have to have the mental resilience and resolve to kind of keep going, keep improving, and keep training. And when you get your chance, hang on to that jersey.
Have you seen a different side to Evan this year, Anton, or hungerness, or something that's stood out that he's kind of grabbing his opportunity this year compared to other years?
I just think his confidence has grown over the last 3, 4, 5 years. In terms of his own scored and output, he's the highest scorer in Fitzgibbon hurling, and if you can survive at Fitz, you'll survive senior in the county. And Henry knows that, because that's where he probably developed himself most with WIT. The games that Evan would have played over the last 3, 4 years with the colleges in terms of club, also Clarebridge, county finals, semi-finals, he's playing at a really high level, but I know how much work he puts into his own game, Paul, in terms of practice he does himself, the way he looks after himself. He's finished with us now. He has to go looking for a job. So like a lot of parts of his life are coming together for him off the field. But on it, he's put the work in over the last, look, he won a minor in 2015. That's 8 years ago now. So it's taken that length of time for him to come forward and to grab his opportunity.
What impressed you most about Galway over the weekend, Martin?
That you can't mark Conor Whelan. Seriously, no. I mean, I think like Evan Ireland is absolutely a sharpshooter. He's brilliant. He's flying at the minute. But to me, the danger man, it nearly takes 2 men all the time, is Conor Whelan. If he's so strong, he's so physical, and he's so good at what he does. Like, I I just watching him there, and he was literally holding off lads with probably 2 stone heavier than him. Like, that's his. And if you go, he's been doing that now for 5 or 6 years. Like, and when you have two forwards like that go in the full forward line, you have to pull deep. You have to pull everybody back. That creates a bit of freedom out around the middle for the long shooters as well. Like, you know what I mean? Because you're making sure that you're not going to give away goals. Because like Whelan or Evan Nyland or we say Conor Cooney, any of them are capable of finishing, or Kevin Cooney, any of them are capable of finishing a goal. Like. So that's why maybe we were so defensive in it, like, you know, in that sense that you knew the threats and the danger was there, like, you know. So we didn't get as much. I was hoping that we would get as much into Rory and Conor Mack that we would be causing the Galway backline to pull back deep, and the Galway midfielders to pull back deep, and then we'd be in the ascendancy. We'd be on the offensive rather than being on the defensive. And I mean, people will tell you have these game plans, but there's only one. Do you know what I mean? Yourself back into the game. Like, do you know, it's just both game plans don't really work. They work to a point, but the dominant team was their game plan.
You're just breaking up there a bit now, Martin. But just with that, Jeff, Martin was talking there about how important Conor Whelan is, and even the narrative coming out of the Wexford game over the weekend was how important it's just vital for Galway to keep Conor Whelan fit this year.
Yeah, look, in terms of ball winning ability, I thought the first 15 minutes he was exceptionally inside line. Like he held great length on the pitch. And the lads were getting good quality ball, and he was making great runs across to 14 and 21. We were causing Wexford a lot of bother. Then he got a probably, I'd say it was an accident really, with Matthew and Hanlon. He probably hurt his hip, and he was down probably once or twice. And you know, if Wheeler goes down, there's a reason for it. But yeah, look, he's hugely important, as is Brian Concannon and Conor Cooney. What you're looking for is Kevin, you know, to come forward again the next day. He had an okay game the last day. When he came out the field, he had an exceptional ball into Liam Collins there towards the end of the game. And you're just looking for these lads to stand up with Wheeler.
Is that something the Galway forwards can do more of when you're talking about Kevin coming out the pitch? You have Evan Island in there at stages, Conor Whelan, Brian Concannon. Is it something we're just going to see where there's going to be constant change all the time?
I think the lads rotate themselves. Like they will look for mismatches on resets. They're smart enough players like to do something like that. Like the Kilkenny backs the next day, like Wheeler will be well used to marking Hugh Lawler. I presume Mickey Butler's going to pick up Evan, and then you'll have Tommy Welch picking up either Bean or Kevin Cooney. And then the half back line of Blanchfield Reid and Pádraig Welch, you know, that's a serious half back line there now for Kilkenny. Like any game, you know, it's going to be dictated by your two wing forwards, your midfielders, and 11 at that diamond, getting on possession and working hard and turning it over and stopping Richie Reid spraying passes into their inside line. But yeah, look, I think, Paul, it would be exciting if we can get Kevin out the field. I think it just bring an extra strength to our own bow in terms of how we play the game. It's just to get a line breaker out there. The lads are very deep.
It's just to add pace to the wing forward, really. It's
just that pace in the middle third, because I know if Kevin breaks onto a ball, you're not going to catch him. I think Tom Monaghan and Conor are very deep, you know, and it's very hard to make up that 50-60 yard run to get in support there of the lads, you know. So look, for me, yeah, look, the next day is going to be fairly interesting. You know, it'll be some test down in Nolan Park for the lads, but look, they've been training well. They've got one win under the belt, but they're going to face a serious challenge on Sunday against Kilkenny.
And there'll be the extra with Henry as well. Like, you know, that'll bring a bit of extra momentum and a bit of extra want and a bit of extra, because Henry will be driving. He'll be trying to drive that on as well. Like, you know, I mean, I just felt Tom Monaghan was huge last Saturday. I thought now he got an absolute an abundance of ball, like, you know, and as he did during the league, like he's popping up every day in the right places and doing the right things, and he's popping up for scores as well, like, you know. But like, I mean, if you go to Kilkenny too, facing Galway and something like Kilkenny, Kilkenny are always in the mix. Like you can never ever write them off. And the time you think you'll have them is the day that they produce something. Like, you know, and I mean, but who will know Kilkenny inside out any better than Henry? Like, so I mean, that's the inside track on that, in the sense he know exactly what they're thinking. He nearly know what the game plan is like.
Yeah, look, you looked at the league final. I was fairly impressed with them in most of the league games. I thought Waterford tactically got it right. The last day against Limerick, they went zonal down one side with Ty, and when he went off, Jack Fagan went back and they showed them down one side. But they pressed really, really high on Limerick. Kilkenny probably weren't aggressive enough with them. They were very good for 10-15 minutes, did that. If they bring that template that they brought in the first 15 minutes against Limerick and the game against Cork, they're going to cause us trouble, Paul. They will cause us trouble. They always do. But as Martin touched on it there's going to be spice in this on Sunday, because Kilkenny won't want to lose to Henry inside Nolan Park, that's for sure.
Martin, is this the game to ignite the Leinster Championship this weekend?
I think so, yeah. I mean, well, like, if you took the controversy out of Limerick and Waterford on Sunday, like, how brilliant a game was it? If you know what I mean, like, if you didn't have the flashpoints, like, do you know how you know, I mean, you could say Waterford left it behind them. So, you know, we can get carried away with Munster because it's presented to us as the only province in the world of hurling, like, you know what I mean? But that's a Munster person's opinion, not a Leinster person's opinion. So I'd never agree with that. Like, that's just my take on it. But, like, you know, I mean, Waterford had an absolutely, what would you call it, a gilt-edged chance to beat the All-Ireland champions. You call it a very, very good chance anyway. They missed a lot of scores in the last 10 to 15 minutes that could have got them across the line against an absolutely unbelievable Limerick team. I mean, their physicality, everything. But it's funny now whether the refs are starting to zone in on it or whatever. But, like, it's you know, there's nearly controversy most days they play now, which, you know, which will suit other teams that's playing them. And I mean, I'm hoping to be a physical battle between Galway and Kilkenny on Sunday, because I mean, that's at the weekend, because that's what you need. Like, I mean, that's what championship is about. Like, it's like, everyone loves a bit of a dust up to get the crowd going, get everything going, it gets everything going, like, you know.
Would you expect? Sorry, would you expect to see any goal changes this weekend, Jeff?
No, unless Conor Whelan's injured. I doubt it. No.
You don't expect Fintan to come in?
No. I think Joseph will improve with more games. Dahi will be fine. Park Mannion. Yeah, I can't see changes there. No, I can't. Full back line. TJ was mostly out the field at different stages, and Jack and Garrett inside. No, I can't really. No, Paul. I don't see changes. Kilkenny will. I don't see Timmy Clifford starting. If Billy Drennan is fit, he'd probably start, and I don't see Paddy Mullen either starting either. Mossy Keown is someone that scores goals when he starts the inside line. He was further out the pitch the last day. But look, you're going to have to tie down Mullen. You're going to have to tie down on Cody, and then TJ will be a huge threat inside for them.
Yeah, like, with that, for Kilkenny this year, there's obviously been two new midfielders, you could say, relatively in inter-county terms, clubmates Paddy Mullen and Derek Corcoran. It will be interesting now to see in Derek Ding's first real test, I suppose, in championship, because they did have it easy enough the last day against Westmeath, 29-7 victors in the end. But it'll be interesting to see, does he change up to midfield here, or does he go and stick with these two players?
Yeah, I tell you what's very, very unusual, that Kilkenny didn't score a goal. Like, I mean, that's I'm finding that absolutely very, very hard to come to terms with for the last few days, in the sense that, tell me the last time Kilkenny didn't score a goal. Like, it's Do you know? And I mean, if you look at the forwards, like Jesus, they're absolutely household names, the whole lot of them. Like, so, I mean, I think that'll be the big test this week. That you get more cutthroat, like, and you just be more ruthless, and you go for they'll go for goals, I reckon. You know, but I mean, in Kilkenny, I think nearly Kilkenny are interchangeable. Like the subs that come on, like they're nearly often as good. You've Kilkenny there in the subs. We say you've Conor Delaney, you've Killian Buckley after hurling and multiple, but he's fit for 20 minutes of hurling. Like, you know, you've Martin Keown. I just think you would not know, would there be? I mean, Kilkenny will be aiming, as they always do, to find the team, the better or the best team to hurl the semi-final, All-Ireland semi-final and the final. That's nearly the way Kilkenny work every year. Like, they're always at the business end near enough. So they'll be building and finding and eking and seeing who was better for this position, that position. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was 2 or 3 changes.
Have you seen a change of style with Kilkenny this year, Jeff?
Look, it's like any of the teams, really. It's possession based. Has it worked? Yeah, it worked for them until they got to the league final against Limerick, and their execution in terms of their stick passing, offloading wasn't at the same level as Limerick. But no one is, apart from Waterford, the last I think of all the teams apart from Galway, Waterford are best served with the quality of players that they have in terms of athleticism, power and speed to hurt Limerick.
I think Cork might come in on that there, Jeff. I just think Cork have started to build a bigger type athletic player than they did in the final couple of years ago. I'm just thinking maybe they might try to come under the radar on that a bit. Yeah,
no, I agree with you. And I seen the stat there today. Waterford's execution from play was only 36%.
Yeah,
you know, so that they had a lot of wides from the shooting zone. Like you'd say if they were ridiculous the wides, but they weren't, and they got their best players on the ball at different times. When you see Desi missing 2 or 3 chances. Criminal stuff, like.
Absolutely. Like, no, there were wides that you couldn't expect. You didn't expect the players that had the possession to hit him. So that's what I said earlier, that I just felt it was an absolute unbelievable opportunity that Waterford had to overturn them.
Yeah, no.
But I don't think them chances will fall up again against Limerick somehow. I think they'll tighten up shape a bit. Or look at, they're on the go. What, 6 years now? Is it? I think Limerick are on the, like, you can't stay at that level forever. Like, you know, I mean, Kilkenny did it for 5 or 6 years, but then they went again. And I mean, I'm presuming that Limerick are human after all, like, you know.
Yeah, and I think the Munster Championship, Martin, will take it out of them. Like they've cleared this weekend, haven't they?
Yeah, clear on Saturday evening.
Yeah, and like these are high octane games, like, and they're going to get injuries from them. It's and they had that, like,
Tip is bringing a lot to that championship as well.
Yeah, and like there's no team in it that you can say that's not going to push or upset somebody on any given day. Like everyone's saying Limerick can go on, fair enough, but Tip you can say is number 2, but we haven't seen Cork yet. You know, no. We'll see Cork this weekend, and we'll know more after that. But like Anthony else, you hold your opinion really until the tail end of the year. Like last year, we fully expected to win a Leinster final against Kilkenny. We didn't, and then we took Cork, and then we didn't expect much against Limerick, and then we came home thinking, "Gee, we could put a big game." We didn't, and I think there's going to be twists and turns in this championship. I feel again there'll be a surprise, there'll be a curveball of a team, and I don't want to say it to Martin, but I think Antrim will cause trouble to Wexford next week.
They will, of course, absolutely.
Yeah, you know, and that.
But Wexford last year, if Wexford had beaten Westmeath last year in Westmeath, Wexford would have made the Leinster final.
Okay.
You were just talking about connotations, and you know, I mean, and it would have been a different season. So, like, you just, I mean, Munster is a quagmire in the sense of everybody is trying to dethrone Limerick, and there's great competition in the games. Like if you look at going in last Sunday, everyone thought that Limerick would sort of maybe cruise through that, and absolutely wasn't the case. Like, you know, Tip were absolutely gunning like the score. Like, so I mean, you know, there's going to be fireballs in it for the and I mean, if you lose two vital players, well, that could be your chance gone. Like, I mean, because the physicality of the game now and the big body hits, like, and the chances of players being maybe getting suspended or whatever are huge at the minute. Like, you know, because the attention now that's in it for teams going out. If you do anything, if you cross the line at all, now you're caught. Like, even if it's an accidental crossing the line, you're punished. Like, so players have to be a lot more careful than they were in the last few years. Like,
yeah, and like if you look at Tip, the way they're off this week, they're out the following week. You know, they got a good win the last 5-25. I know that we're gifted 3 goals, but Liam has them moving well. They've got their mojo back again, like, and you can sense it from them in terms of. But again, if you look at the championship last year, Clare exhausted an awful lot in the Munster final, and it took an awful lot out of them. I think some teams, and we're probably fortunate enough in Leinster that it's going to be an important game the next day for us against Kilkenny. You win that. I think we Dublin after that, Paul, haven't we? And then we have Antrim Westmeath.
Dublin's the last game for Galway.
Last game. So like the lads can time it in terms of they can pick out 1 or 2 guys to kind of say, right, this is your off week. You can't do that in Munster. You can't afford to rest anybody in Munster, where you can in the Leinster Championship.
Just with that, Jeff, does this feel like a significant... I think we just lost you there, Martin. But just on that,
maybe Kilkenny and Galway can.
But just on this, does this feel like a significant game for Henry Sheffield and the Galway management? Because you can even see a bit after last weekend, it's a good result. It's the start they wanted, but to get a bit of momentum behind this team and know where they're at this weekend, it feels like a significant game against Kilkenny.
I think any day at any level in Galway, it's a significant game against Kilkenny. It's the ultimate test for you as a player and a manager. Martin will probably bear testament to that as well. But like going down to Nolan Park, it's what you want as a senior to county player or manager. You're going down to a terrific stadium, brilliant pitch.
What could this do for Galway after to get a result down here this weekend?
Well, look, it probably puts them in pole position for a Leinster final, but that's all it does. You're judged in Galway.
Henry won't be reading into that either now. Yeah. It'll be just another game. Like, because I mean, Henry and Kilkenny are always very good at managing wins. They were better at managing wins than they were at managing losses, really, because it was just another game, and that's the way he will have it built up until you're sure you're in the Leinster. Like, I mean, Henry's so long on the go and after winning so much that he knows exactly how to handle all of that prep and everything else. It's a huge game. It's a huge game for Henry. It's probably a bigger game for Henry than it is for Galway, because Galway have 2 points. So Galway are in cruise control in Leinster at the minute, as Wexford is not. I mean, Wexford is the one in Westmeath. So, like, it's not the be all and end all. But as Jeff said, it's basically a pass or a free pass into the Leinster final if you do it.
Kilkenny will obviously be looking at this too to send down a statement, Jeff. Like, when do you think Derek Ling's first championship game in Nolan Park?
Yeah, looking, I think he's had a really good start, Paul. You know, because he's taken over from the master himself. You know, and look, it's big shoes to fill. I know he's lost a good few players as well over the last year or two, lads that are away in Australia, whatnot. But look, he's going to be judged on the next day. He's going to be judged on getting the team to Leinster final. He's going to be judged on semi-final. I suppose Kilkenny are going to like Galway, Martin. Like every time there's a loss in Galway, it's a crisis. And it's like Anthony Nelson in our county. If you can get on a run, you can sense it from the supporters. They can sense something is coming. And a win like this, Paul, what it does is just gives confidence to the group. And Henry's, as Martin alluded to there, like is well versed on it's the next game. And that's all it is. It's a win. You enjoy it for 30 seconds, and then you're starting to prep straight away again for the next championship match.
But it gives the actual player to beat Kilkenny. It does give you a personal list after the win. Like you'll have it the next morning when you get out of the bed if you beat Kilkenny. Like because even though they haven't won All Ireland last or hurling like for the last 30 or 40 years, so it will be and it's a big stop anything. If they had set up anything to stop the Limerick half forward, I think they scored something like 3-12 from play between them. They held their own everywhere else except probably they just didn't have a game plan for the Limerick half forward line last year. They wouldn't have been that, and they weren't that far away from it. So, if you take that scalp, you're be doing well, and and it's a to have, but it won't be everything for Henry and Galway. Wexford now has the uphill battle to try and make it through to a Leinster final. Like you have to win all your next 4 games. Like Galway are not in that position, or Kilkenny are not in that position.
How do you see this one going at the weekend, Jeff?
So there's pressure.
Martin's breaking up there again.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
You're going now. But just on that, Jeff, like how do you see it going this weekend? And then we'll come over to you, Martin.
Right here.
Yeah, look, it'll. It's like Anthony. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. There'll be goals. I think we're going to need 1 or 2 goals ourselves in it, and I think it will ignite the Leinster Championship. For me, it's going to tell us an awful lot where we're at the end of the game, and if we survive the battle and have the character and the fight, I think we'll just about get over the line. It's going to be a tight game, Paul. It's going to be really tight. I think a lot of it's going to be depending on tying down Mullen at 11 on Cody and TJ inside, and will Billy Drennan be fit? I don't know where Walter Welch is. He didn't come on the last day, but I do think we can get at their backs. And Martin touched on it there. Blanchfield came on the final last year, but they couldn't handle Hegarty. Paddy Deegan was in trouble on him, and I think at midfield we might have had an advantage at midfield.
Yeah, particularly you consider they've lost Con Brown and Richard Kelly in that department too. How do you see this one going, Martin?
I think it's going to be a very, very, very close game. I just think that it's going to come down probably to Owen Cody and Adrian Mullen and maybe Evan Nyland and Conor Whelan. Put them 4 do the business up at the business end of the field where you want it. Like, you know what I mean? I think it's going to come to goals. I just feel Kilkenny will be totally up for it because King Henry is managing like the Tribesmen. You know what I mean? That's going to be an incentive on its own, and like that'll be built in the dressing room. That'll be built during the week, like, you know what I mean? And the opposite will be happening in Galway, that look, we have to do this for Henry. He's gone into his own backyard, and where he won his county finals, where he won everything, and where he learned his trade. So we have to go down and go to war for him down there. So it's the makings of it should open up the Leinster Championship. I think it'll be a fiery encounter. I think there'll be no one wanting to take a step back in it, because there would be the 2 top dogs in Leinster, so you'd be trying to throw out your markers early in the field. So I don't. I'm just thinking Kilkenny might have the edge in it, but that's going with history maybe rather than any other logical reason, like, you know.
For sure. No, it is all the
They don't-
makings. It is all the makings to be a cracker this weekend in Nolan Park. That game gets underway on Sunday at 2 p.m. in Nolan Park. But that's all on our podcast for today. Thanks a million to the lads for coming on.
Thank you.
The Backdoor GAA Podcast for 2023 is now brought to you by Steede Motor Group. For your personalised vehicle shopping experience, visit steedemotorgroup.ie. We are now delighted to announce our second sponsor of the podcast. Harper Finlay are a professional service recruitment company operating nationwide and are dedicated to helping people find their dream job.